Welcome to the Trill and BA Show. I'm your host, Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, aka the Trillest MBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. As you know, we are currently doing mini episodes that is titled Work Protocols, Shit You Need to Know for the Workplace. And so today I want to focus on something that is really, really hard for us all. Take being a Black woman out of it. Or if you're not a Black woman listening, just take whatever boxes society has put you in out of it. Let's get down to basic human behavior. You, me, all of us. We all at some point either have struggled, are currently struggling, or getting an aha to stop struggling with confidence. Confidence in our abilities, confidence in the workplace. But I can tell you for sure, as a Black woman in the workplace, it is so hard to have confidence and show up confidently in the workplace. And there are a myriad of reasons. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because I don't want to get angry. But brass tacks, part of it is the situations we are in, which can chip away at your confidence. You know, things like microaggressions, racism, oppression, sexism, you know, all the isms. That stuff, when you have to endure it in the very subtle and insidious way that it shows up in the workplace, it can chip away at your confidence. But then the other side of it is the stories that we tell ourselves. And those two things, in a very naturally crazy way, show up and show out, and not for our good, right? And we then convince ourselves that we are not crazy, what they're saying is true, we suck, and then it spirals. And I want to bring to your attention, and one of the reasons why I'm talking about this today, I was looking up, being Black woman workplace, as I normally do. And I found this HBR article, HBR Harvard Business Review article. It was under the section of burnout, which I thought was interesting because if being a Black woman in the workplace equates to burnout, then I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why we're here. That just can't be the case. But that's neither here nor there. But the title of this article is Working as a Young Black Woman in America by Morgan Bruton Johnson. I hope I said that right. BREWTON-Johnson. And this article really resonated with me because she tells the story of her being 22 and graduated and starting work as a consultant in New York City. And she knew, okay, yeah, I'm a Black girl, so there might be some things, but nothing I can overcome. At least that's how I'm reading her article, where she talks about her shiny optimism and how she naively held it when she was beginning her role. She said it took a few months to fade so that honeymoon phase goes quickly. And she was in a unique situation because the guy she'd been dating for 2 years actually ended up at the same company, and he was a year ahead of her. And so he started in the role, the entry-level consultant role, I'm sure, as she was a summer intern. So like she ended her summer internship, went back to school. Well, he had graduated and he had started working they probably were like two little ships passing in the night, because her internship probably ended just as he was probably about to start. So then when she graduated the next May, they were at the same job. He had been there a year. And so it was fascinating to me. I'm going to try to get her on the show. I have questions because here's her white male boyfriend. And here she is, a Black woman, and they're essentially in the same job. And he gets to see what she's going through as a junior Black employee. And in the middle of the article, she says, the amount of time and effort required for me to survive in the same environment Andrew thrived in every day was immeasurable. But more importantly, going through it all side by side pushed Andrew to see firsthand the burden that racial disparities can create. I was like, wow. And mind you, she changed Andrew. That's not his real name. She just called him that. But it's just amazing to me that we're still talking about this. She wrote this, or this was posted March 26, 2021. So earlier this year, she graduated from Princeton. That's where she got her undergrad degree. She is now a dual master in public policy and master in business administration candidate at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government and Harvard Business School. Go girl. She is a Rubenstein Fellow at Harvard's Center for Public Leadership and president of the Black Student Union, a student group at Harvard Kennedy School. So clearly this sister ain't no punk, right? Like she got the papers, she got the numbers, she got the receipts, okay? I love that she put some tips in here. So the 3 tips she put, she's like, I'm my own champion. I ask for help when I need it. I prioritize myself outside of work. These are the things that she learned to get through. And I think we've talked about some of these things ad nauseum. I think the thing that I want to make clear for those people who will go and read this, and I think you should, it's well written, it's short read. You'll notice that she talks about like she worked harder. You know, she was even accused of her boyfriend doing her, when she did well on an assignment, they accused her of getting her boyfriend to do her work. And I am just like, first of all, motherfuckers, y'all already know how much time it takes to do the fucking work one person has.
And the correct answer is...
So how would he have time to do my work? Like that just, again, I said I wasn't going to get angry. I'm just at a level of anger and I've got to get some therapy. But this is some of the stuff that she went through at this job. And my biggest hope for anyone finding themselves in this space where if you feel like you are working, like you are just like, you're doing the most, I want you to stop. I want you to stop doing the most because you're trying to prove someone wrong and you will never prove them wrong because what you're trying to prove them wrong about is their opinion of you. You cannot change people's opinions of you in that way. You just can't. Because once somebody has a biased thought, for good or bad, like it works both ways. That's the great thing. When somebody likes you, it will be very hard. You have to kill their dog in order for them to stop liking you. Like you have to do something so egregious. But then on the flip side, in order for somebody to like you, you'd have to do something so amazing for them to be open to the idea that, hey, I'm a good person. So over time, how you win people over is a couple of ways. And that's what I want to talk about today. And it starts off with your confidence. So, one, you have to not shrink yourself in order to try to placate this person, even if it's your boss. It feels counterintuitive. It feels like, well, if I give them what they want and I become what they want, then they'll no, because they are on a mission to pick you apart at this point. So you not sitting in your own power as a human, you shrinking your humanity, trying to go along to get along, you doing that and caring so much, putting a lot of energy and care into what they think about you, that is the best way for them to hate you more. It's human behavior. What you really have to do is you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your work product. And you have to have a lot of self-awareness. Like you have to be aware of, is my work trash? Or is this person trash? And if you can't discern that for yourself, what you need to do is, again, that's why I say build those relationships. You need to sit down with some trusted colleagues, and they don't have to be the Black people at work, right? Like you need to figure out somebody that you like, you vibe with well, they like you, y'all have a good rapport. Even if it's surface level, this doesn't have to be your friend, but you need an objective opinion. And you need to say, hey, is there something I could be doing better? And you can't get it from the person that doesn't like you, because what they're going to do is tear you apart, right? Like they're going to nitpick at every little single thing. And they're going to do it in ways that they would never do it to another person that they liked. The person they like, they're going to make excuses for. They're going to be like, oh, but well, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're going to rationalize the things that they nitpick and blow up and make bigger than what it is about you. That's just what the microaggressions are, right? And so what you need to do is have the confidence to make sure you're clear about your work product, number one. And once you know, like, oh no, I'm doing good work, this is good, then you want to listen for the feedback. And this is where a career coach can be really helpful if they're good at interpreting feedback. Because sometimes, and I've talked about this before, but sometimes feedback, like what they're saying, isn't necessarily what they mean. And so it's not that the feedback isn't valid, it's just that the feedback needs to be interpreted. So for example, if your boss is saying things like, I just don't think you're being strategic. It's not that you're not strategic. What that really means is I'm not seeing where you're connecting the dots. That's really what that means. And so the question you should ask back is, okay, well, give me an example of what being strategic looks like. And this is where you have to have confidence, because sometimes, you know, people will then turn around and say, well, you're being defensive. And so you can say, whoa. I'm not being defensive. What I'm trying to do is understand and really truly understand the feedback so that I can course correct and adjust and get you what you need. Right? But you have to have a certain level of confidence to even do that, because most of us, you're not being strategic. And you, okay. Like, you don't know what to say. You don't know how to feel, especially if you're a junior employee, right? Like you're just trying to do your best work. And it's very hard the first time you get feedback about your work. And it's like, ugh. But it's always fair to say, hey, you know, I really start out positive. I always stay positive. Hey, I really appreciate you giving me this feedback. I'm really trying to understand it and get under it so that I can, you know, correct and do better going forward. Can you give me some examples of, one, somebody who's showing strong strategic leadership that's my peer so that I can learn from them? But then also, two, can you give me some examples of, you know, a similar project where you feel like the strategy was strong in that project or came through? Or can you let me know, are there some behaviors that you'd like to see from me that I'm not demonstrating for you? So I want you to own your power by asking clarifying questions, not in a defensive way, but in a way to do one of two things, right? One, it really is good feedback and there really are some things you need to correct or adjust or what have you. Or two, you're going to find out that it's bullshit and they're just being, minions of the devil called whiteness. And understand, I said whiteness, not white people, whiteness. We really need to separate the construct of whiteness from the people who happen to be white so we can start to get underneath how insidious and evil these microaggressions, this bias, this oppression, how it shows up and how it's inflicted upon us in the workplace. But it's very hard to do that because we keep saying white people. So then white people could, not all white people, I'm not racist. Bitch, this ain't about you. It's about the construct. The construct that's trying to tell me that I'm not a good worker when I run circles around all these motherfuckers in this building. But the problem is, if somebody keeps telling you, these little things, but they make it seem like bigger than what it is, which is something this young lady talked about in her article, then you start to doubt yourself. And that's where you have to lean into confidence. So if you gotta play your song, your trap song that you play before work to get your mental up, you have to remind yourself, you got degrees, you got into schools, you got scholarships, you've been doing the damn thing all these years. This one person in this one job should not have you questioning how good you are. Period.
Blood hell.
And you have to hold on to that. And no, you can be good and still have room to learn and grow. And so if you have somebody who's a complete asshole about this, you need to ask them the following question. Hey, is it fair that I have an opportunity to learn and grow in the role? Or did you need somebody in this role that just totally exactly knows what to do, how to do it? Is this not a role that I'm supposed to learn in? Because if not, then we can get with leadership and talk about where I might be a better fit. Call them on their bluff. Especially now, because these motherfuckers, they are short-staffed. So they can fuck with you if they want to, but understand there are jobs out here, baby. You don't have to suffer under a terrible manager. You just don't. And so I'm hoping that you will look at yourself in the mirror, especially if this is something you're going through right now and you're trying to get it right. And there's nothing if you find yourself, your boss is never nothing is ever good enough. You need to have a conversation with them and be like, hey, all right, we're clearly not on the same page. Let's get on the same page, ma'am, sir. Because I'm here to do my best. But this nitpicking at every little thing that I do, we need to get under it. I need to get the real feedback. I need to get the clear feedback so that I can change, so I can deliver what you're looking for. You are your own champion. And it starts, though, with confidence and not being afraid and not having fear. The worst case scenario is they put you on a PIP. Child, listen, you got months before they fire you. Okay? It's not going to happen overnight unless you really break company policy, cuss somebody out, and just really do something super egregious. But you can speak up for yourself and you cannot be afraid. You're an adult. That person's adult. They're no better than you. And here's the thing. A lot of times what we suffer from, because if you're of a certain age, you got your ass whooped growing up. Unless you were the good child and never got any ass whoopings because you've always been the model child, which is a whole nother therapy session you need to go talk to the therapist about. So either way, whether you got your ass whooped or you didn't, you still need to go to therapy. Okay. But in our culture, you already know what it is. Adults teach us, kids are to be seen and not heard. We're supposed to respect authority, all these things. The way that now shows up in the workplace is I am afraid to speak up for myself because I don't know. It feels like the consequences are going to be detrimental. But if you put a one-on-one with your boss and say, hey, let's talk about this. I really need to talk to you about this. So like owning who you are, what your role is in the organization, like you have to be okay with having people upset with you or not liking what you're going to say or what have you, right? Like you need to be okay with that, but you need to be focused on having a respectful adult conversation to get to the root cause of what the problem is so that you can be at peace and not be working yourself to death, trying to outwork the problem. You cannot outwork this if this is happening to you. You have to confront it. And the sooner the better. And if you want to go to somebody you trust, a mentor, to say, hey, I need to have this crucial conversation. And then you get your wording together, what you're going to say, practice it if that helps. I do. I always practice what I'm going to say. And I always focus on how do I get the outcome that I need? I always focus on, okay, what is it that I want my boss to do? Like, I want my boss to take this project off my plate. Okay, but how do I shape this conversation to let's talk about priorities and let's talk about what's most important? I come at it from a business standpoint. This shit's not personal, guys. It feels very personal because it's your paycheck. I get that. But stop taking things so personally and stop thinking the consequences are so detrimental. You will not die. If you lose your job, you will not die. And losing your job is probably happening because you need to be moved and go somewhere else anyway. So never fear losing your job. Speak up for yourself. Make sure you're learning what you need to learn. And then ask your manager for help if you need help. If you're not understanding what they're needing or you're struggling to get it, like don't sit there and just don't wait. Like that is the biggest lesson I learned. I mean, I struggle with PowerPoints. I struggle with putting together like marketing strategies, all those things. I don't like to do it. I've never really been taught how to do it well, right? It's something that should be taught. It's just really not. And it's something you kind of pick up along the way as you go and you work. And it's something as you move up, you get more autonomy on doing it. And so for me, I just always hated that feeling like I'm going to be exposed. Like and I didn't want to ask for help because I didn't want to seem like I didn't know what I was doing. And I knew this was something that I should know how to do, or at least that's how I felt. And when in actuality, I should have went in there and said, hey, here's what I know and here's what I don't know. Here's where I need some help. Can you help me do this? You're my manager. How can we work on this together? Because you're not hired to just know everything. Like that doesn't make any sense. So hear me. When we take these roles, you can't or you shouldn't know every single thing about how to do every piece of the job. There is something you should be learning, something that should stretch you about that role. And if you're taking jobs or you're looking at jobs and you can do the job in your sleep, you're doing yourself a disservice. Don't take that job. In fact, then you need to go to the next level of job because there's something you need to learn. There's room you need to grow. Why do you think white men will look at a job description and be like, oh, that first thing I can do, and then the rest of it I'll learn? Because that's what you're supposed to do in a job. It's supposed to be learning, experience, growth. But somehow we've gotten into this pattern of thinking like, oh, I got to be able to hit the ground running and know exactly what to do. No, especially if it's an entry-level job. And if your manager's acting like you should know, you need to remind them like, hey, I'm new and I'm learning and I'm still learning and I need you to help me. And if you can't do that, then we need to talk about it. Right? Just like that, y'all. Just like that. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about being the black bitch. Don't worry about all the bias and tropes. Like, let all that shit go and get the information you need to get so that you can turn in quality work product. Period. Now, want y'all guys to read this article. I like how she put some of this. I think this is great. But at the end of the day, I want you to remember that you have some control. Okay? You really, really do. You have some control. So don't ever feel like you can't say nothing, you can't do nothing. The thing is, you don't want to get emotional. So if you feel yourself getting emotional, step away. But like, have level-headed conversation. If they say something crazy to you, say, you know what? I need to take a minute to think about what you just said so that I can come back and ask you clarifying questions. Or if it's something egregious, say, well, why would you say that? Like, for example, and I'm not the only one, but I have literally been told in my career that maybe marketing wasn't the job for me or the career for me. And why anybody would have the audacity to tell somebody that is just a straight asshole. Like, I would call this bitch's name out, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to get that bitch the satisfaction. But what I should have said to her in hindsight is, well, why would you say that to somebody that reports into you? Are you trying to lessen my confidence in myself? Are you trying to help me get better? Like, help me understand what good you telling me that is going to do or help this situation. And then I'll just be silent and look at them. Like, for real. And then if they said something flippant, then you can say, okay, well, if you don't want me on your team, let's figure out how to work to get me on another team. But I don't think it's fair for you trying to push me out the organization just because you don't like me. And then they're going to be like, I didn't say I didn't like you. And blah, blah, blah. Right, because they wrong. I said, well, I don't think that you would ever tell anybody what you just told me if you like them. Like, for real, y'all, we really need to start confronting these patterns, this behavior. Like, nobody should be chipping away with their words at you. And it's time for it to stop, but it's going to be us. Like, one-on-one conversations where we stand up for ourselves. And we're just going to have to. And it's going to be uncomfortable. But we're going to be okay, and we're going to be better for it. And it's going to feel good. And so don't hold that stuff in and then explode, right? Like, address it right then and there. You know, one thing you got to work on is thinking on your feet. I always now think through different scenarios and try to have some canned answers. And so one of my strategies is, and I give this to my coaching clients, ask them a question, a clarifying question. I'm sorry, can you explain to me exactly what you mean there? I love that one. Because it's like, when they said something stupid. Okay, so what is the takeaway? I just want to be clear on the takeaway for me to make sure I deliver what you need. That's how that is. Definitely get your confidence up. Definitely ask for help. And don't be like Molly when dude said, hey, should we get Felicia to work on this? And she didn't even tell them that her mom was in the hospital. Like, don't do that. If you need help, you're going through something, you need help, say something. Be human. You are human. Do not let these people take your humanity away from you. At the end of the day, we are all humans, and you will recognize my humanity, period. On that note, y'all, if you're struggling, you got some questions, I'm not taking coaching clients until next year, but email me at ask@trilliumba.com. Or if you can wait until next year for coaching, you can start scheduling in January at trilliumba.com/coaching. Happy to help you work through your work situation or what you have going on. The fees will go up for 2022, but you can email me if you have a question. Also, if you'd like a pro bono coaching, you have to come on the show. I do want to do more stories about what you guys are going through. We can all learn from each other. So yeah, it's going to be okay, guys. Like, we're going to make it. I want you to keep your head up. I want you to be proud of yourself because you are the shit. And don't let nobody convince you otherwise. All right, guys, until next time, keep it true. The Trill NBA Show is a Fair World Corp LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Brian Little. Keep it trill every day, y'all.